Good afternoon. I would like to call the March 24th, 2026 informal meeting to order at 1:03 p.m. All right, Mr. Johnson, would you like to start first?
Yeah, surely. I just passed out one page out of the 2,200 pages of the agenda from the Value Adjustment Board. This just gives a little bit of information. On the one side, it says historical information, petitions filed, withdrawn, settled, heard, granted. And if you take a look from 2009 to 2025, in 2025, we went up to 433, which is roughly a 10% increase from 24, which was roughly a 10% increase from 23. And we heard a total of 111 out of that, or roughly 25%. And if you turn it over on the back, it has what the fees that were paid for the special magistrates that actually heard the taxpayers' concerns. And our share is 2/5, or $22,242, up about 10% from last year. So we can only anticipate it will go up probably another 10% this coming year. They don't meet again until August, so this is it for the year. I don't know the dollar amount. I had that, but I didn't bring that document with me, and Kelly couldn't find it in the 2,200 pages of how much taxable revenue was reduced. That's also available. That can be available.
So we don't know how much we actually, as a district, has lost because
I don't have that information. It's in the packet. I just
somewhere,
don't have it. I can find it, or Kelly can find it if she has nothing to do one day. It's only 2,200 pages.
Mark, do you know on the one the ones that were granted?
Yes.
Is there a commonality
No,
within those
we
grantees that?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it probably was houses that were damaged due to storms that reduced the value of the structures on a property. Because we all know the prices of homes have gone up and they've been sold back and forth. Maybe there was a misapplied homestead, but I'm going to say the bulk of it were overassessed. So they reduced.
Okay, it would be nice to, I think, to know what foundational.
Can probably get that from Randy Mazurik.
Not even looking back, there was until the last 4 years, there haven't been that many granted, and so I wonder if it is the weather conditions that created this issue. It would be nice to know. It'd be nice to.
Yeah.
I don't want you to go back in 2,200 pages and try to find it.
Yeah, it was in there, and I actually brought the wrong paper when I copied it, and I did have that information. I want to think that it reduced the taxable value by maybe on the outside $2 million. Taxable value, not the tax itself. I think it was something like that. It wasn't greatly significant, but it was there. And a lot of these claims are brought by, I'm going to say absentee landlords, because a lot of them are brought by attorneys from southern Florida. So they're not by residents themselves necessarily.
Okay.
Because a lot of them, they try.
If you just look at the previous clump there,
Yeah.
the number granted was really quite small.
They expect it to go up more next year. That's just, the trend is there.
But we haven't had any storms. And
The trend is going up at 10% a year. If you take a look at it, from 22, it's 328. You add 32 to that, you get 366. Add 36 to it, you get, roughly 398, and 10% of that brings you up to 433. So if it holds its steady course, we'll probably have about 475 this coming year. Now, how many get heard and granted,
Yeah, go back to 2010 when you had 354,
Go back to 200.
and
go
you
to
had 7 that
209.
eventually get granted. I
Yeah.
don't what.
That's 10%.
Mr. Myers
Well,
wants to weigh
I
in.
think I may be able to shed some light on the criteria. One consideration, obviously, is the valuation, that they're objecting to what the property appraiser, is appraised the property at. There are exemptions that haven't been taken into account by the property appraiser, homestead exemption or something like that. There could be portability issues where, you're supposed to take that with you, and somehow it wasn't, it wasn't transferred. And there's also like classification, like you have the property not classified properly, but most of them are about valuation, where the person is disputing the property appraiser's determination of what the home is worth. And it would be the key, as you say, I mean, both of you, the idea of knowing exactly what the amount was that was reduced, year over year, because you can look at the number of petitions and that suggests that something, but it's, I think, more important to look at the numbers.
Yeah, that was available. I just happened to copy the wrong page and didn't bring it. I spent half the night last night down in Bayonet Point with my stepson, so he couldn't breathe.
All right, any further discussion on that? Okay. Who would like to go next? Ms. Rodriguez, do you have anything?
I got something that's coming up. And it happened last year, and it's happening this year with the dates between the awards nights, nights of excellence, and the graduations. It seems like the schools are not coordinating. And all of a sudden, at the last minute, we're getting dates, and then the dates are changing because even at the same school, 2 things are being scheduled at the same time. I think that needs to be addressed somehow on a district level, and maybe get a better district calendar out there so we don't have these two events on the same night and everybody's on the same page. With 25 schools and all of them hitting with graduations and this or that, all of a sudden, Springstead has changed their dates 3 times. Central has a problem where they're having, I think, ACE Awards and an ACE Dance and ROTC Awards on the same night. Now they're changing the dates again. So I would like to see better coordination for all these end-of-the-year experiences, or at least get them sooner than we're getting them now. We're talking about dates that start in the middle of April. I have things I'm scheduled for the third week in April, I guess it is, going out. And they keep on changing the dates. That's craziness. There has to be a way to do that, even in the same school, where they know what's going on. And I think we should address that somehow. I don't have an answer for that.
Mr.
It's just
Bender?
something that just popped into my feeble little brain as we're talking.
No? Okay.
So I think it's difficulty, like you said, even at a school level, sometimes there's overlapping. I guess I'm assuming you don't want multiple things on the same night because you want to go to everything. I know that I can't, as one person, go to everything. So I gave up on that, but I do have someone from staff or cabinet that we assign to go. I know that, I mean, I don't know if we're ever going to get to a place where they don't overlap. It would be nice. It would be nice at a school, but it's hard enough at a school level. I don't know if I'm going to get 23 schools to be on a calendar where something's not overlapping almost every night.
But
as we
Especially
go.
in May.
point
so much.
I'm making is sometimes they don't even know the dates. And they overlap at the same school at the last minute because nobody knows what the other department's doing.
Yeah.
I think we should have something and set a date where they have to turn around and announce when they're going to have those award nights, when they're going to have their proms and their dances and everything special. And for the end of the year, so we know what we're doing, so we can set our schedules and make our priorities. And yeah, I agree. I don't go to everything, but I do go what I can go to.
Yeah. But I think they do announce them. It's just sometimes they change them.
That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If the coordination was made better, or if they had to have a date certain, they'd pay a little more attention earlier and get a date and say, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Okay.
I don't know how we work that out, but I think we could work it out.
We have asked schools, and they're working on developing their, I wanted to call it frontline calendar, but their Parent Square calendar. I couldn't think of the name of the company. The Parent Square calendar that's on their website. Some schools, you look at, they have an events calendar, like Central has an events calendar on their Parent Square, and it lists a lot of different things for parents and community members, know what's going on at the school. Others not so much. So we've asked around the time that it came up about board members knowing what was going on, and I met with the lead principals and asked everyone to create an events calendar. That's what they have to do, is at their school, they have their school calendar, then they have an events calendar. The events calendar is linked to the Parent Square, so that not everything that's happening at the school and parent conferences at this time and this going on is on this calendar, and this is linked to Parent Square, so it'll update their calendar more, and then you guys are able to, or me or whoever, are able to go to those calendars and see what's going on at that school to see if you want to go to some of those things. So I have started, I've asked them to start doing that. I got to check to see where they are. That was kind of right before spring break when that happened, so we'll see how that goes and if they're updated. I'm not saying that addresses your concern, but it may help in
I
a way.
think if they have, maybe we give them a date certain to get their final dates in for all those awards and the different, dances and proms or whatever they're holding, so that we all know what's going on, and so the other schools know what's going on. It would be easier if they all had it arbitrarily, just the Ides of March. Just they got to have it in, or it doesn't
I
happen.
believe the school-based, the principals have that already in place. I mean,
They should.
they should.
We scheduled a year ahead.
Right.
And then
They're
we kept the
changing
same
dates.
dates.
They're changing
All the-
dates right now at Central from the ROTC Awards and
Right,
what was the
I'm-
second one, Kelly?
The ACE
ACE.
ceremony,
ACE
ACE
ceremony.
celebration.
Why are they in conflict if they're both at the same school and they have that calendar in advance?
Because somebody's made a mistake, Mark.
No, but it happens all the time.
But I'm, okay, it can happen, yes. I'm just telling you, we used to schedule a year out, so when the staff came back in August, they already knew when all of these things were taking place, and then we would replicate it for the next year. So we had a regular routine of who was doing what and when.
That makes all the sense in the world, but it's not working because this is not the first time. And last year it was like every day there was a change in dates and times and places. And I'm not even going, and that's
Well,
between the
I-
awards nights, nights of excellence and.
I have to agree with Mr. Johnson as far as I have reached out with our superintendent and with our secretary, and I've had this discussion for the last several months with them of us not knowing what's happening and where it's happening and when it's happening, as well as everything coming over, spilling into each other. So I don't disagree. I think we could do better. I think that all of us are trying to make an effort to be at these functions, and a lot of times I know that I've heard from all of us when we speak, we didn't know this was happening, or we didn't know that was happening. We didn't even realize it. And then I'll call our secretary, and she didn't know it was happening. She's left out of the loop too. So I do think that he's onto something. I don't think it should be totally dismissed. I think that no one's doing it deliberately, but as school board members, I think it's important that we're able to have a master calendar, a schedule, and know these dates. And also, like he's saying, it shouldn't overlap. The significant, important things should not overlap with something else that's important too, because all of us are trying to make an appearance and to be there because this is the role as a school board member, but it's very hard when we don't know when it's happening, where it's happening, or the dates all get changed. So maybe.
But it sounds like Mr. Pender has a good path laid out, and
Yeah.
it's a matter of
It's getting better.
I
but
think we're working on it.
getting it
A
in
month or so
place.
ago, Kelly put out five changes for one or two things that were happening. The date was changing, so we didn't even know what time the board meetings were because they kept on changing. It was set for 9 o'clock, then it was 11 o'clock, then it was 1 o'clock. No, it's 9:30, it's 10 o'clock. There's got to be a little more consistency to it. I don't know about you. I mean, I still work, and I schedule things around what's going on. And if I schedule something, sometimes the work I schedule, I can't change once it's set. So we got to have a better way of getting a schedule out that's set in stone at a certain point, so we know what we're doing.
And everyone's trying.
And yes, they do, but somehow the management of that is lacking, and we need to get tighter on it and figure out how. And I'm not pointing fingers, but we need to get it tied down so we know what we're doing, when we're going to do it. And again, look at last year graduations. We had to run from one to another because they were so close. We have no control over the weather, but that's
Ms.
not
Bonsick,
right.
what did you say?
We have to do that this year too. Go from one graduation to another. This
Kinda
year,
nice to
on
get them all
Saturday.
done.
Right.
Yeah,
On a Saturday, we're doing, and Friday, I think, we're doing back-to-back.
again, I think there's also just there's so much in May, the awards going on. It's almost it's impossible to not have stuff overlap. So I think as board members, we kind of have to, you go to one and I go to another, or
I don't
split
think
up
that's the
for some of the
discrepancy.
for some of it.
Yeah, I don't think that's the discrepancy, if I'm hearing him right. I don't think
They
he
get
cares
changed,
that
they get
we all
moved.
have to split it up and figure out who's taking what. I don't think that's the problem. I think what he's saying is that
They move dates.
the-
I get it.
the need to know basis
Right.
on, I don't even know that moving dates is primarily the problem. I think it's just that none of us are involved on, there's not a master schedule to where even Mrs. Pogue, when I spoke to her, and she'll confirm this, she said, I don't know. I don't know what's happening at all the schools. I have no idea, in order to be able to put it on our calendar, so then we can pick and choose.
Right.
So I'm okay that
Can
it
you-
overlaps.
Can you imagine
I'm okay that it
the
overlaps.
calendars, 23 schools?
Well, we're talking about the high schools primarily.
Okay,
Because,
yeah,
I mean,
5 high schools.
That's
Just
the
try to
graduation.
imagine trying to combine all 5 high schools into one calendar. You guys will just be beside yourself.
Well, I think that the step
So
is that
hard.
each school has that updated on Parent Square. If I can get that done. And then what we talked about is if you would like to, as a board, then you can look at the high schools or the middle schools and even the elementary schools. They won't have as much. Elementary won't have as much. Middle will have the middle amount, and high schools will have a lot on their calendar. Or you can say to Kelly, hey, can you put what you think might be on a master calendar for us from these websites? That might be possible too.
What-
But there's going to be things that Kelly thinks is important, or that she thinks you may not want to go to, that you want to go to.
Well, we-
So,
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mrs. Pogue, wasn't the conversation that you and I had before, you were not even aware, you weren't made aware, and you were left out of the loop?
yeah, no, I agree. Because
So I think that's what he's discussing.
yeah, because we were relying on invitations, like
Yeah.
sending out an email to you guys inviting. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that, but there's another layer now of a calendar. So there's a calendar of events, and then if there's things that they want the superintendent or board members to go to, they should invite us personally also. That's what I told them.
Yeah,
But also
you-
have it
you- you
posted
have-
on
you have-
Parent Square so we all can see on their
That's right.
site.
The major events.
Agreed.
The major events coming up at the end of the year are the 5 high school graduations, the 5 Nights of Excellence, the ROTC Awards, the ACE Awards, and I don't know if they give one, and I guess for the IB, Bachelorette Awards. We should have those made in stone by the first day of school in August. We should know those dates, and they should be dates certain for the end of the year, and everything else should revolve around them. Because I'm finding those dates are changing. I go to all the ROTC awards. Now, they're being moved around because all of a sudden, ACE says, well, we're going to use that date. Or somebody else wants to use that date.
All right, Mr. Pender.
And that's not, we should, as a board, establish the major events and the dates they occur at, with of course, with the input from the principals, and work it out from there. Then everything else is, importance is the wrong word, but I'm going to say less importance. You know, the others can fill in the gaps. But let's set it up so we know what the heck we're doing.
What you're describing is the big rocks exercise from Franklin Covey. So you put your big rocks in the bucket first, and then you fill it with all the smaller rocks, and they fill in between. So what I'll ask the high school lead principal, Ed LaRose, to do is for them to get together this year, over the summer, come up with some dates at the end of the year that's mutually exclusive for these events. It doesn't mean that they're not going to change. I can't help that. But at least they'll start mutually exclusive, and they'll have that conversation for those big things at the end of the year as much as they possibly can. Put it on that event calendar that'll go on Parent Square also, and notify the board about them. I think some of these events, I mean, I know there's some changes that have happened, like with ROTC in particular. There's some new things that came out about from headquarters for ROTC about wearing uniforms and things like that, that they have suspended for the near future. So that'll affect some of those, the changing of command and things like that, so those ceremonies that are coming up for our ROTC units.
Okay. All right.
I'll explain more.
Are there any other board members that want to speak today? Ms. Rodriguez?
So I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to attend COSBA on behalf of Hernando County. I did present alongside Grinnell. I was able to learn how their platform is helping modernize school facilities. I think nearly 40%, if I have the statistics right, of our K-12 schools were built before 1970 around states. You know, a lot of the schools are older schools, and they were designed as shelters, not really intelligent systems. But with the Grinnell and with implementing their program, such as we've done at Chocochatty Elementary, they can transform these buildings into a connected digital platform. And they can manage it through a single platform. So like your car, it needs an oil change. And if you see you watch your sticker, or you look and it tells you it needs oil, you go get it changed, then your engine does not blow. So I think it's extremely imperative to have an operation system such as this, because it gives the alarms and it lets you be proactive instead of reactive. So it lets us know when we need to replace our filters. It lets us know all different things that are happening within our components of the system before we have a major catastrophe happen that cost us sometimes millions of dollars. So I think this long-term planning without replacing the existing systems and having all of this already there. We had some food wastage at one of the schools. Had we have had the right thermostats in the coolers, it would have sent an alarm. We would have known. We could have pulled the food. So there's a lot of things that we can do that's going to save us money opposed on the front side than waiting on the back side. I think also it was really neat to learn that we can use this whole system as a STEM education, utilizing the building as a living lab so that the students can clock in and they can see everything real time. And they're able to have, if they're wanting a career in plumbing, HVAC, electrical, they can also navigate the portal. So I think it's neat, the whole component of us being able to get a handle on it before a catastrophe happens and it's a big expense, as well as students can also dial in and they can follow alongside and they're able to learn as they go. So I think it was really neat. We had a lot of breakout sessions. Some of them were a strategic plan. It was a district-wide model, was a session, bringing culture of growing leaders for our schools. Another one was superintendent selection, the right process and the right fix. Another one was what it takes to work well with the school board. So it was a nice conference. Did you have something, Mrs. Bonset?
I think Mr. Johnson wanted to comment on it or question.
Said program you're talking about, and Mrs. Duvall, you probably know more about, sounds like that Honeywell energy that was in place in this district for about 10 or 20 years, where they did certain upgrades and then they maintained the systems. Do you know?
Know about what he's talking about from the past?
What you're talking about is an energy audit that they did, and they would, what they do
Well,
is
we
they
never
put in
put that in, did
controls,
they?
Right.
and they sell it as you save the money on electrical, the energy consumption, and that pays for the controls. So it's a zero cost effect is usually how they do that. So we don't have Honeywell, we have Trane sensors and things. And I think the difference that we've talked about between the two systems is, the way I understand it, what we have in Trane shows us what's happening now live in the system. I think what you're talking about with the other system, it has a more predictive measure to it, a preventive. So again, another Franklin Covey concept, being proactive instead of reactive, is that this, you might know this compressor's down, or it's forecasting this compressor is going to go out in 2 months because it's at the end of its life cycle and it's vibrating a certain frequency or whatever, that we can maybe order that compressor so it'll be in when it goes down, then we can replace it or something, so that we can be, so that's the component that I'm interested in, what I know about these two systems and the difference between them. But we do have Trane in a lot of, almost all of our schools. I wouldn't say 100%, but the controls are there so that if an air condition is not working, more, I think, reactive, or is not circulating correctly at a school, we can see that on a computer screen and send people out to fix it. This is, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand it, it just kind of adds another layer to that of predictability for the future. Like this filter, this compressor is drawing a certain pressure, so the filters need to be changed.
Is
That type of
Trane
thing.
able to do predictive? Has anyone?
I
talked to
haven't
Trane
heard of that. I think if they did, they would have probably be trying to sell it to us, but I haven't asked that
Yeah.
particularly if they do predictive or not.
The one who had was the master of that was UPS. If you remember, even not that long ago, they were still driving trucks built in like 1948. They lasted for 20 and 30 years. They turn around and every so many thousands of miles, boom, the oil was changed. The brakes were done, whether it needed it or not. Every day the vehicles were washed inside and out. They had a whole thing. When they scheduled their routes, they preferred right-hand turns versus left-hand turns. Everything they did was preventive maintenance. They got years and years out of their trucks, just like our bus driver, our mechanics do with the buses. They really stretch them. But they were the masters at that, just like you said, that's all preventive medicine in a sense.
Have we looked at cost? Has he?
Right now, they're doing a
estimates,
pilot
or-
at Chocochatty, so we're going to look there and see where to go from there. We have a meeting that we're going to set up to talk more about it. They just got the passwords, I think,
Yeah,
a couple months ago.
we're at the beginning stage.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We want to first see the benefit and see what that does for us. And
Yeah, I'll ask Trane, but the sensors that are at Chocochatty were put there. It doesn't. There's no cost to us for that. So they're
Awesome.
pilot.
And then we also have to be mindful that facilities and maintenance has to stay on top of the program. And what I see is happening is during this session, we were able to log on real time, and we have little red buzzers lit up everywhere. And there's all kinds of things we could be assessing and checking, but no one's really doing that. So we have a meeting scheduled so that, because the system's only as good as somebody that's behind it that's going to pay attention and make sure that when this stuff's going off, that we actually fix it. So.
All right, was that all you had to do?
I do have one more thing. One of the classes that was extremely informative and sad all in one was the sexual cybering. I'm not real sure the definition of the course. I'd have to pull it, but it was a gentleman, and he's a senator as well, and it was his son. He's going around and he is doing these talks everywhere, and he is speaking on behalf of his child that was 17, and he took his own life. And how much you can really put these in schools and get out there for these children of somebody asking for a picture, or somebody for his son. There was a young girl, supposedly, that sent a picture of herself to the boy and then said, "Send me one of you," and he did, and really it was not a girl, and whoever it was behind the internet they wanted, they wanted money. They wanted all types of things, and it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And at the time, the father was an elected official, and they were saying, we're going to put this out all over. We're going to put this about your dad. We're going to do this. We're going to put your pictures out. And it was just too much for this student to be able to bear. And he's young, and instead of going to his parents, he was ashamed and didn't know how to deal with it. And as it continued getting worse, and the people kept reaching out and putting demands that he was not able to meet, finally he just took his own life. So it was really sad and it all happened in the house around midnight in the bathroom, and he shot himself. And it was just a travesty, and it was something that this family will never repair from. They'll never recover. They did find out the group that it is, but these groups are out there all over. And now he's going around trying to advocate for schools to implement this stronger than the little bit that we do touch on it. There are different programs, and I'm getting with him on this. So we're going to get together and try to figure out what we can do in our district to be able to get this information to our students, to where if we can, educate them on that these things happen, and how you do not have to be embarrassed, and you don't have to not have somebody to go to, and you don't have to put yourself in that position to where you feel like you need to take your life. So it was really a good.
It's eye-opening, and they're using AI now and making fake videos of students, like taking the
I was
picture
just
of
gonna say
them
that.
and using that as the same.
So when I went to the other coast for FSBA, we had a lady come in and talk about AI and how much their kids are actually using AI so much that they're having relationships with them.
Yeah.
And like disconnecting from their family members because of the relationship that they're having with AI. And you don't think about it that way as an adult. Like, I have Alexa's Echo, and I'll yell at her, and my husband's like, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think of it. But as for a kid, they're actually making these like they're their parents.
Right. We just have to. They need to be educated. On
Educated.
it. Right.
on
We're
what
fortunate where our sheriff is aggressive in computer sexting. And all we have to do is develop a program to make the students feel more comfortable to either go to the SRO and have that reported, or
Or they can
in the
use
case
4 to
of a
5.
woman to a female in the school.
Right.
I think we could do something, but I know the sheriff is very aggressive about that.
One thing that stood out for me was when they were deciding after this had happened and after the burial and the funeral was over, the wife had said to him, he said, I want to go around and start doing this. He says, I want to go to conferences, I want to speak, I want to make a difference. And the wife struggled with it because she said to him, if he took his own life because he was so embarrassed of what he did and so ashamed, and he couldn't come to us and he couldn't turn to anybody, and he was that scared and that embarrassed, why would we now expose his secret to the world when we lost him because of that secret? And he said to his wife, as much as that makes sense from one level, on another level, if we don't do this, then we're not saving any other students. And this is exactly how students feel, that they couldn't tell anyone because they were so ashamed. So he decided, of course, with her blessing, after they discussed it multiple times, that the right thing would be not to keep this quiet, would be to go around and expose and use their son and show other students that there is a way. And he said the travesty of it, too, was that he always spoke to them. He said, I had a great relationship with my son. He said, he had dabbled in this or this or this, and he says, I knew all those things. We had sat down. There wasn't nothing really personal and too private. We had discussed so many different layers of personal things between. He says, so it just shocked me that he didn't feel he could come to me for something like that.
And didn't he have a sports scholarship or something? Is it the same child that had the sports scholarship? No.
No, he wasn't in sports. He was artistic. He has a bus, like an old Volkswagen bus, that he takes on tour with him because he stickered the son.
It's just about the son.
I was talking about the son had a scholarship, like already had signed to go to college.
No, the son
No, this is a
wasn't in
different one.
sports. He was artistic, the son.
Okay.
He had a bus. The father had a bus that they were restoring for the son, and he was more artist. Everything was artistic, and he had stickers. And the way he got through of how he felt was stickering things. I forget, he calls it something.
Yeah.
Kids go around and sticker stuff. It's called something. So the whole bus is covered in stickers. And he uses that bus now when he tours everywhere he goes.
I would be
So-
interested to hear after your meeting.
Yeah.
Come back to us and let us know
Okay.
what he has to offer.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? I have a few items. If not,
Yeah, you go ahead.
okay. All right. So I did a follow-up on the concession stand for Nature Coast, and we are getting quotes on that, and hopefully by this summer, they are going to have a trailer so it can be portable and move from the football field area to the baseball field area. So that's exciting. And then I live near Mariner, and they are putting a light on Mariner, a turn signal on Mariner and Landover. And when my husband first took county commission, I said, please get us a light there. And then when they built all these apartments, I said, did you ask and reevaluate? And so they did a traffic study and decided to put a light in. And it took 2.5 years to get the light in, but the light is going in. But in the process of that, if they've put these big concrete poles and they dug up part of the sidewalk and made this big mess, which they're cleaning up, but it left the students a very small area to stand when crossing from the theater at Springstead to the high school at Springstead. And so I called Jeff Rogers about that because driving by Mariner is now more like a very busy highway. And you have students, a bunch of students standing on, at the traffic light trying to get across. There's multiple, students, and it's quite scary. It's a safety hazard, in my opinion. So I called him and asked, is there anything we can do? Can we look at maybe doing a bridge, like a safety bridge of some sort for the students to walk over, a pedestrian safety bridge? And I honestly thought he thought I would be crazy. And he said, wow, I agree 100%. And that he's meeting with a committee, and they're going to look at look at different funding methods and what it would take to possibly build like a pedestrian walkway from Springstead Theater to Springstead. So I don't know if it'll happen, but it's in the works, or it's being discussed.
It was the cost.
It's the cost.
That was the problem years ago.
Years ago.
Yes.
There's several grants, but he said the problem with the grants that I sent him are that they take like years to receive the money from.
Well, it was, and we're talking a long time ago, 15 years ago at least. It was north of $1 million,
Yeah.
and we thought we could get it done when they redid Mariner, added the lanes on it.
No.
It was just an
Too much.
incredible amount
Had
of
we have
money.
put in at that time for the grant, if it takes that many years.
Maybe we would have it right now, right?
It wasn't an option.
Yeah, and it has to be wheelchair compliant. So they'll either have to put in like an elevator or make the ramp longer, which will take some of the parking.
Yes,
lot.
we looked at it from the ramp part because we couldn't do an elevator, and that ramp extended
Too far.
west way a long distance. So there was a lot of things that just,
Came into play.
yeah. But that,
Well, he said he would entertain the idea and look at it for me and reevaluate it, and maybe,
maybe he's got some spare money that he
maybe,
maybe make this happen.
yeah, I'll try.
Well, if he does, he better come out with a swimming pool.
Right, right. All right, so I have more.
Snowball after a little bit.
Sorry, friends. Okay, so I also have the YMCA is putting on a food drive. They are partnering with the Sheriff's Department, the County Commission, and they're trying to do a competitive fundraising. They want to raise up to 5,000 pounds of food for children in the summer. I know that we do provide food for our children in the summer, but this they provide 7 days of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they want us to pair with the Sheriff's Department, our schools, to raise food at a food drive and see if we can beat the county commission and the county government in a race against each other with who can bring in the most food. So their mission
What are the
is
dates?
it's supposed to start April 6th through the 15th, but I'm going to need Mr. Pender to, if everybody wants to go on board with it, discuss that and see if our schools.
I thought the United Way was having a couple's dunk tank.
This is for the YMCA. I'm not sure.
Her husband's in the dunk tank.
Oh, me? Oh, you're talking about the kickball? Yeah, that's a little different.
So I'm having a call on Friday for principals, so I'll add this to my list to talk to them about, see if we can get some.
They will
Support.
arrange for pickup of the food from the schools. So,
Yeah,
okay.
they usually are pretty good about different fundraisers, food drives and stuff like that. So I'll announce this to them and see if we can get some traction with it going.
Okay. And they were reaching out to the sheriff's department to see if they would join us in this mission.
Here comes a free Friday for the kids. Bring in as much canned goods as you can, you get free Friday. See?
Maybe one of the half days.
Yeah. All right. And then I have one more item to discuss. So I think we do a really good job of having a rotation for our courts, to redo our courts in the gymnasiums. We budget for it and we rotate it to make sure that they stay really nice. However, I feel like we are lacking in having budget and plan for our tracks and our courts. And I would like to reevaluate that, because here we are spending, like Brooksville, Hernando High just spent $500,000 to resurface and redo their tennis courts. Had they been maintained every 8 years, it would cost maybe $10,000 to resurface those. So I would like to have some type of budget line item or some type of schedule where we can rotate them, similar to what we do with the gymnasiums, with the floors in the gym.
We've been discussing this for years, and the same thing with Central High's track.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a disgrace. The stuff is just,
So on the agenda tonight, we have the courts for Weeki Wachee. So here we are. We're going to spend $1 million for the courts and the basketball courts there on the agenda tonight. And then in 8 years, those are going to need to be resurfaced. And what are we going to do? We're not going to. We're going to, because it's not going to be on a rotation until it's to the point they can't be used. And that's what the history of what we've been doing is. We wait till these courts are unusable, and then we're like being reactive instead of proactive.
but we're going right back to the same thing in this district that we need to tighten our belt on multiple topics. When it comes to the Grenoble, what I just said, how we're piloting that program at Chocochatty, all these bells and buzzers and whistles are going off, and I was able to see it real time. And right now, all those bells and buzzers are still going off, and no one has assessed it. No one has figured out what it is, a filter, whatever it is. We're just leaving it. So all these red things are going off like crazy, saying, I need tuned up, I need looked at, and we're just turning a blind eye. It's almost like no one bothers until a teacher calls, principal, administration, and says we have no AC. The minute they say we have no air and they're having to leave classrooms and uproot kids, that's when we go and we act. And I feel like it's not intentional by no means. I'm not pointing a finger at anybody in our district, not one person, but what I am saying is, I agree, Mrs. Hawkins, we have to get a handle on being proactive, not reactive. And the same thing has happened when we see that Central High track and we see all the different schools and all the courts and all the different things. We just let it go, and we let it go, and then we let it go, and then here we are, and it's
Have to redo the whole thing,
it's a
right? I think, though, if we,
Springstead still has a cracked slab in the boys' batting cage. It's cracked in half. Do you know how dangerous that is? They put a rug over it to hide it. That's not the answer for these problems.
right.
The answer is to repair them. That's been that way for at least 3 years. There's a history of slips going into maintenance. Replace it. Nothing gets done.
So I'm proposing maybe for us to develop a district-wide rotation and maintenance schedule for the courts and tracks, similar to what the gyms are. Maybe establishing a dedicated budget line item for the ongoing resurfacing and preventative maintenance.
I think we need preventative maintenance all the way around.
Right.
Everything in the facilities
Even when it
in
comes
general.
to, I'm going to add some stuff you're not going to want to hear, but even when it comes to pressure washing, something simple at these schools. If anyone wants to take a tour with me, we can go on a tour and look at some of these schools. It's easy, it doesn't take a lot, and it doesn't cost a lot. But it's just, I'm not sure how the departments, are we, Mr. Pender, do we just not have the people? Are we just in a position where we have no help? The other thing is the stadium inside the gym, the gymnasium. I gave a shout out to Hernando High. That is the oldest stadium inside, the bleachers, the wood ones. They are the prettiest, they are the cleanest. When you go to our brand new schools, they're filthy, they're dirty. I don't even want to set my purse on the, much less me sit down on it. It's just, it's really bad. And this is all the time. So I'm there and with all these parents, and I feel embarrassed as a school board member when all these parents are sitting around me and everyone's commenting, everybody's discussing it, and it looks horrible. So something has to be done with facilities, maintenance, whatever department, Mr. Pender, whoever it is, but we do need to figure out, because we're on campuses constantly and we can look around and we can see so many things that are unkept and it just looks nasty, as well as the stadium bleachers. When you're sitting on those bleachers, those seats are horrible, and I don't understand why. Is it because we have nobody? Do we not have a rotation? Do we not have
Need like a comprehensive inventory and condition report. We could even call it that.
$750,000.
You
for that
know,
report.
you can use Brian Reagan and his team to go do that, and you could also have with the athletic department, you can have Kupchak go and help with the facilities department, possibly, as far as the fields go,
Let's just say this.
Mrs.
If you,
Hawk-
and help him create this
Why
and
don't-
save $750,000.
So
for
I've
the-
set up a meeting to discuss this with Brian and Steve,
Why don't
to
you have them
discuss
come
this
here and
idea
let's all
that you
discuss it?
had.
I agree.
I can have them do a
I would
presentation.
like to have a presentation with this department
And,
or
yeah.
whoever you feel is in charge.
Both of them.
But that's his job. I don't think that it's our for us to pay
Yes.
somebody else to do that report. I think we have enough people here that are educated well enough and know our facilities well enough that they can do it.
Well,
Well-
if we don't have people that can't operate a pressure washer and cannot pick up trash and take trash cans, and I mean, it's simple stuff like that. Anybody's welcome. Any of you can come with me to any of these schools, and I will point out everything I'm discussing with you. It comes to the roof over. We'll have a roof over, and it's a shorter one. It's maybe 12 foot tall. You can stand back and see the whole roof is disgusting. It would take me and a pressure washer with 1 hour to make that roof look so much better. So I am a little concerned. I'm a lot concerned. I've been saying this over and over for a long time, but nothing seems to get done. But all these schools, there's so many things that could be done, and it could be fixed, and it could be addressed, but do we not have the personnel? I don't know. I don't know why it's not happening.
You know, maybe over the summer, from what you're talking, the pressure washing might
They
be a
don't.
good time.
Over the summer, my kids
Might
are
be
all
the
in sports
might
over
be
the
the
summer.
time to do it because the classrooms are empty and the campuses basically are empty.
That's some of the dirtiest times as well.
But that-
Maybe have the condition report for each school, the inventory and school-wide. I mean, there's so many ways we can do this.
We should
Mr.
have them
Pender?
come here and let's talk, even if they don't have a plan together, so we can brainstorm it.
Gives that.
Okay.
Ms. Bonzik?
I have no comment.
I mean, do you guys care that our schools don't look as pretty as they could? The principals can only do so much. The principals are running a school. They're running a
So
small
I have
community.
stated about, and me and Mr. Pender talked about different things recently with campuses after our last appeal and different ideas. So I agree that there are things that are not getting done that should be getting done. And
And I don't feel it's the principal's fault.
right, it's a work in progress, I guess you would say, right, Mr. Pender? Room for improvement, and it's a work in progress with those kind of things that you're stating, like pressure washing and keeping our campuses up to par clean.
It's just, and then the maintenance of the
The
fields. and
maintenance of the field and
keeping
stuff,
up
and I
the
agree with
courts
you,
and
Ms.
the
Hawkins,
fields.
that Dustin should be one that goes with everybody and looks at he is our athletic director, and looks at our fields and looks
Come
at
up with a rotation
and
plan on which one
have
is
an
the worst.
idea of what
and
needs to be
yes.
done, yes, I would agree with that.
And have the athletic director
And
of
then-
the individual schools don't, earmark a percentage or a piece of their budgets for that, for the maintenance.
And
And
I'm sure
again,
none
I
of-
will tell you that people will say, well, we put work orders in and nothing happens. And it's not just one thing, right? So that's something that you have to look at too when we're discussing these things. So it doesn't fall, just like you said, there's no one to blame. It doesn't fall on the principals. But there is someone to blame because somebody has to be supervising somebody.
Now, on a positive note, there was a work order put in for Hernando High School for lights in the front office. I went in there today before I came here, and oh my God, it's so bright in there. Thank you, Steve. It really looks good at Hernando
Well,
High
I
School.
can say, if you send something to Mr. Cognali,
No,
it
it
gets
gets
done
done, yes.
right
So
away.
I want to
100%.
So I want to say that Mr. Cognali, you're sitting on this back row, you're listening. I call him for everything, and Brian Reagan. I call Brian Reagan for things that Brian Reagan has no reason that I should have to call him. But he is a man who will always step in and go above and beyond, and he makes sure that it gets done. So between Brian Reagan and Steve Cognali, those two get calls from me all the time because I concur with the rest of you as board members saying that they make it happen, and they do.
Yes.
Every time I call Steve, he makes it happen. Now, I will say I call other people that are in charge, and it falls on deaf ears, and they make a promise, and then I find out, I get another phone call that says it never happened, no one ever came by, and I was promised that they would address it, and it never happened. So I have to turn around and call Mr. Cognali and tell him, can you please get involved and get on top
The
of
other
this?
one just walked in, Mr. Reagan.
And I will agree.
And I believe that,
I will agree with you.
yeah.
Steve, every time, I don't care. You call him, it's done.
Oh, great.
Handled, it's
And I
taken
think
care
that
of.
they're
And I
very
feel bad having
capable.
to call him for everything.
And I think that they're very capable of creating and maintaining a comprehensive inventory and condition report of our schools and our fields and
it's not
courts.
the principal's job. The principals have a
We
lot
can
on
do
their
this.
plate. Why do they have to make sure that they reach facilities and maintenance and do all of these type of things too? This is what we employ.
That's the supervisors.
This
They
is what we
supervise.
employ these
Mhm.
different departments and these different department heads and these different supervisors to do. And I feel like it's not happening. I do feel like for years I've been saying this, and I'm just really tired of going to these functions and us being an embarrassment. And I go to other counties because my children all compete in sports against other counties, and they look great compared to us. And it shouldn't be that way.
So let's be proactive is what we're saying.
And I'm
Okay.
sorry if you guys don't
Thank you.
want to hear it.
Thank you. All right, do we have any further discussion?
I
We
have one more
5
thing before you close
Okay,
this.
Ms. Bonza.
You talked about this nice, for the concession stand for Nature Coast.
Oh, okay. It's a trailer. It's
a
not
trailer.
a truck. It's
It's
a
like-
trailer
like a
that they
food
can
truck?
move, kind of like a food truck that they can move from.
Are we
It's gonna be a
working
concession
on one for
stand.
Central High School also?
Not currently because they have a concession
They
stand.
do
is what
not
I was
have a
told.
concession stand. Central High School does not. They use food trucks.
Mr. Pender. I also think that I was also told that, sorry, I'll chime in for him. They want to make sure that this works well. They want to buy one and make sure that it works well and that the kinks are all out and that it's a good idea before they purchase two.
Okay. Well, I recommended using an old bus and turning a bus into a concession stand for each of the schools too.
Interesting conception.
Go ahead, Mr.
We
Pender.
thought of that, but the problem is turning it in with all the fire codes that you would have to have. The trailer comes with that already, with the fire suppression systems and all of that we would have to retrofit one. I mean, it's not like you're just putting it out on the side of the road. It has to meet code and school SREF and everything else probably because it's going to be on a school campus, maybe not SREF, but certain fire codes and stuff like that that are related to that. So we thought that a trailer that's set up with all of that in it already would be a more economical way to do that, and then that could be moved, just like you said, for the bus or whatever to different fields and, as they have events. Food Nutrition is also looking at that possibility too at the same time.
Would we necessarily need it to be a permanent structure?
Oh, no.
As far as, like you just said, we can, like you just said, we could move. So when you say does Central have one, Central doesn't have to have one per se, because if we have, say, 3 in the county, those 3 could move around for all the different sporting events.
Yeah, I think that would be a little bit of a, I mean, if it works, if it's successful, it might be better to have, like you said, if we had 3 maybe that they could share and they could stay at high schools, but I would think that like a high school, it's easier to move
Probably
within a
wanna
high
wrap it,
school, like from Nature Coast football field to the baseball field or some other field than across schools, because a lot of times they have
I'm just,
events at the same
I'm just
time.
concerned. I'm just concerned with cost
Yeah, no.
at this moment.
Well, I think we have
Financially.
concession stands at every place except maybe 2, Central and Nature Coast. So there's concession stands there, concession buildings. But I know building a concession building would be, I mean, we were going to build
Probably
a
triple.
bathroom somewhere and it was like $300,000. I think it wasn't it Wikiwachi Field, wasn't it like $300,000 for a 2-stall bathroom? So you can imagine a concession stand. So
Yeah, they're not cheap.
a building.
All right, we have 2 more minutes.
Okay, so let's circle back. Did we agree that we are going to have the facilities and maintenance department come before the board so we can have a discussion, Mr. Pender?
I think along with the athletic director.
I would like to think about that before I bring it to the board.
I think the board would like to see them both, facilities and the athletic director, together and work out a plan for a potential preventive maintenance plan.
I know, but that gives, I need an opportunity to work that out. I'm not saying I'm not going to bring it to the board. I'm just saying I need an opportunity to work that out because
You got 2 weeks.
you have 5 different priorities of what needs to be done across the district, and we only have a certain amount of money. There is a list of priorities for half cent that's been developed by a very similar process that you're talking about, as far as our team going and looking at what the needs are at schools across the district, not at a particular school, across the district. And then those have to be prioritized by what's more important, a track or a roof, an air-conditioned system or a field, a sidewalk or heating.
But why are you not wanting this to come before us and us have these conversations? Because I feel like regardless, we still should be able to sit in a room together, all of us, and as board members with Sunshine Law, we can't do that.
He's just asking for
I'm just asking
time.
for some time
That's all.
to get everything together. I'll bring it to a board meeting for us to discuss.
That's not what I understood. I understood you wanted to give that some thought. And to me, I don't want to give it thought. I don't care when you do it, but I want it done. So I guess what I'm saying is we should be able to have this conversation. Because of Sunshine Law, we're not able to, so we have to do it this way. And I would like to have them sit here with us and us be able to go over this. We have been in a disarray with these schools for years and years and years, and there's only one way to fix it, and that's us have these conversations.
And if we're able to, I just feel like the way you have worked it, this is the way we have worked, making the gym floors rotated. I feel like we can have some sort of plan if we start now to help maintain what we have. As far as the athletics, as I'm going back to that, if you can do it with the gym floor, there has to be a way that we can figure out to do it. And
Right.
and you're asking for time.
But I don't want to coddle. I'm not in the business of coddling now. I'm in the business of let's be effective and let's fix this. We have schools that we need to be able to make sure that these schools that you can set your purse down and that you can actually sit on without having to put something underneath you because you're going to get gum all over your pants and you're going to get.
That's a maintenance issue that should be addressed over the summer, but I agree that we should organize a rotation
Budgeting,
plan
right,
so we
and
can do
rotation, right.
the preventive maintenance and then
If we leave it-
then build into that the replacement part. That's what Timber Pines has a reserve of $10 million. They've had that since the time they opened, and the assessments are rather low per family. And the way it works is they have a replacement fund where they replace items based on lifespan, and then they have a maintenance program to do the maintenance on a regular basis. And that's how they elongate and get the best use, the best bang for their buck. And it works.
But I have a
There's never
question.
been a special assessment in Timber Pines.
But I have a question. We've been having this conversation for several years, the years that I've been on the board, and to no avail. It hasn't changed. So today, having this conversation, if we really want to make a change, board, then we have to be able to speak to the group. We need to all be able to devise a plan, come up with something, and actually make a difference. So I'm tired of us just discussing it. I brought it to your attention. I brought it to everyone's attention numerous times, and it doesn't happen. I'll be at an event and I send you pictures. I'll be in an event and I send everybody that's involved in a thread pictures, along with you, Superintendent. And no matter what, it still never gets fixed. So I understand that everybody is working and everybody has different specific jobs they have to do, but somewhere along the lines, they're not being delegated to somebody overseeing it and making sure things are getting done. So we're still
When do you want him to bring it back? What he asked for time, so what's the time frame that the board
I
is
would like
requesting
to
of
see
him?
it brought back in time enough to see some of the cleaning that
this year
Shannon is
before
talking
school's out.
about, completed before school starts in August, or at
Okay.
least get the majority of it done before.
Right,
When
Mr.
you-
Ball?
when you're starting a conversation that has to do with maintenance, then you also are going to have the conversation about employing more people, because that is the issue. It has been the issue, and it is a very difficult one to solve if you don't add employees.
So-
Everything that you all have mentioned is going to be money,
I don't agree.
money, money.
I don't agree.
All I
You can come
do-
with me.
well, I have-
You can come with me, and we can go for a walk to any of these campuses.
And it's
anytime
not
you
be-
want.
it's because
That is
maybe
not
they
true.
don't
It's
have
because
enough
it's not being
people.
delegated,
So-
and somebody's
Susan,
not overseeing
if it's
it.
done
No,
over
they oversee it.
Susan, if it's done over the summer, we have
They-
enough employees who don't get paid when they don't work, who take off, are off for the summer. Why
You
not
have to
offer-
you have to maintain all year. The
Well,
summer,
we need to get it to a starting point. If we get it to a starting point and do that deep clean, if you want to call it that, and start at the beginning of the school year with a fresh look, then it'd be easier if it's maintained going along. We got a whole bunch of employees who don't get paid when they don't work. They're not all teachers. Half our employees do not get paid when they don't work. Why not give them the opportunity to pick up income over the summer?
that,
I mean, that's
More
just,
money is right.
So
All right, Mr. Pender.
we
let's
have
close it
done
up,
that
wrap it up.
for several years of the painting crew. We have the painting crew come in over the summer. They help the painters to paint. Some of the issues, I know you brought up pressure cleaning, and I think I know the pictures you sent me, what you're talking about. So our maintenance crew, our employees, most of them at a school level can't get on a roof and do pressure washing. That has to be a different certification with lift certifications and things like that, or contracted out and things like that. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you
It's
what's
not just-
involved with it.
It's not just
So-
12 feet up. It's 2 foot down. So at the end of the day, it's just dirty. We have a lot of dirty stuff. And you guys I'll get the group whenever you want, and we'll go around and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. It is absolutely cups that are down in little areas that I could stick my hand through and pull those styrofoam cups out, and it's tissues and paper and just junk, and it's just junk everywhere. You know what? It's a broom. It's a broom to sweep. It's areas that's never been swept that's just piled up with leaves this thick in the corners that look disgusting. Have you ever went to a bank drive-through and that bank, say, has been closed down, or you pull through somewhere to get out to go to another place and you see where it just looks unkept because no one's been there, and you have leaves piled up and you have everything it's just a mess? That's what it looks like on so many levels of so many things. So at the end of the day, it's stuff that does not require money. It just requires some elbow grease, and it requires people being involved and people going out and people putting an eye on it and just checking off the box that somebody used a broom and somebody put some elbow grease behind it and somebody actually picked up the stuff and cleaned it. It is dirty. So I'm not going to sit here and make exceptions. I'm not going to make an excuse. I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. I've been keeping it shut. I've been doing it behind the scenes, and The other board members are tired. They've been bringing it up. It got brought up today. I do concur. I will agree. I absolutely feel like it's not fair for these principals. They're trying their best to run a school. They're trying to do all they can, and then you have all of that too, and it's not their fault. So we do have departments that are slacking, period. They are slacking, and they could do better. And I'm saying for a fact they could do better, and it needs to be done better. So yes, I'm embarrassed as a school board member when I go to these functions and these sporting events, and I have parents saying stuff, and they know that I'm a member and I'm sitting there. It is embarrassing.
So I'll bring that back in May.
Okay. All right. And at this time, at 2:08, I'll call this meeting. Oh, Ms. Rodriguez has one more thing. And then I'll
Concerning
call the meeting.
impasse in the union, I am very glad that we reached an agreement. And I just want everyone to know that I will continue to advocate for increased funding from the state. I am on that committee, and so I think that we can improve teacher pay. Our teachers and staff are incredibly valued for all that they do. So we will continue fighting that good fight.
Thank you. All right. And this meeting is adjourned at 2:08 p.m.